Officer Sanchez's act of defiance spreads through social media channels faster than the Drakari can shut them down. From London to Tokyo, resistance forms spontaneously as humanity processes the reality of invasion through the lens of decades of science fiction. The aliens expected panic. They encounter purpose. At NASA headquarters, now a makeshift command center, Dr. Vasquez briefs military leaders on what little they've learned about the invaders. Her presentation is interrupted when a junior technician bursts through the doors. "The satellites are back online," she announces breathlessly. "But not ours." On screens worldwide, the Drakari Supreme Commander appears, his translucent carapace reflecting harsh light from unknown sources. His mandibles click rhythmically before the translation system engages. "Your primitive act of resistance is noted and will be punished," he announces. "We have conquered civilizations far more advanced than yours. Your technology is primitive. Your weapons are ineffective. Your divisions make you weak." The broadcast cuts to live footage of major cities where massive landing craft now descend through clouds, each one the size of a stadium. Military jets scramble worldwide, only to be swatted from the skies by invisible energy fields. In the Pentagon's underground bunker, General Rebecca Winters watches the feed with grim determination. "They've studied our weapons but not our history," she observes as reports flood in of conventional military failures. Every invader throughout human civilization has eventually faced the same problem. Occupation is harder than conquest. As night falls over a changed Earth, the invasion's true scale becomes clear. Drakari troops establish perimeters around landing zones in 38 major cities. Their bipedal walking tanks patrol streets with mechanical precision, their sensors scanning buildings for human heat signatures. In a Brooklyn apartment 12 blocks from the nearest alien perimeter, physics professor Howard Kim gathers neighbors around a kitchen table covered with electronic components. "Their communication technology is unlike anything we've seen," he explains, dismantling a captured alien transmitter. "But the principles must follow universal constants." Similar scenes unfold in basements, bunkers, and back rooms across the globe. Engineers, scientists, and everyday people applying human ingenuity to understand the invaders. The Drakari expect submission within days, unaware that beneath the surface of apparent defeat, millions of minds analyze, adapt, and prepare. At dawn, on Invasion Day 3, Dr. Vasquez makes her first breakthrough. Studying tissue samples from a fallen Drakari scout, she discovers cellular structures unlike any Earth organism. Their biology evolved for efficiency, not adaptability. She explains to colleagues huddled around laboratory equipment powered by emergency generators. "They're perfectly adapted to their environment but lack our biological flexibility. That might be exploitable." Outside Moscow, farmers watch alien harvesting machines begin systematically stripping resources from the land. Instead of fleeing, they observe, take notes, and identify mechanical vulnerabilities. In the Drakari command vessel, the Supreme Commander receives the first complete assessment of Earth's defenses. The report is reassuring. Human military capabilities are neutralized. Governments are in disarray and resistance appears disorganized. Everything proceeds according to the invasion template that has worked on hundreds of worlds. Yet something nags at the commander's instincts. These humans don't behave like any species they've conquered before. They don't surrender when defeated. They simply change tactics. "Increase surveillance," he orders his subordinates. These creatures bear closer study. Captain Chen's vinegar discovery spreads through resistance networks like wildfire. Within days, underground chemists across 6 continents work to concentrate acetic acid into more potent compounds. The Drakari, accustomed to opponents who attempt to reverse engineer their advanced technology, find themselves vulnerable to solutions derived from household pantries. In the ruins of Chicago's Botanical Gardens, now converted to a field hospital, Dr. Lydia Okafor studies the effects of various earth substances on recovered alien materials. Her lab consists of salvaged kitchen equipment and medical supplies, yet her findings prove revolutionary. Their biosuits are hydrophobic to an extreme degree, she explains to a group of resistance fighters. They repel water so effectively that they've never accounted for water-soluble acids in their defensive systems. She demonstrates by dropping vinegar onto a fragment of alien armor. The material hisses and begins to dissolve. Their technology is advanced beyond our comprehension in some ways, but fundamentally blind to possibilities their evolution never encountered. Meanwhile, beneath the Seattle skyline, Captain Chen's unit expands their tactical advantage. Using pressure washers filled with vinegar solutions, they successfully ambush a Drakari patrol, liberating 6 city blocks before disappearing into the underground tunnel system. Similar stories emerge from resistance cells in Vancouver, Lyon, and Osaka, each adapting the basic discovery to local conditions. The Drakari respond predictably, modifying their biosuits with additional protective layers. But the modification makes their troops slower, less maneuverable, and easier targets for guerrilla attacks. Every countermeasure they deploy reveals new vulnerabilities that human observers meticulously document and exploit. In her secure laboratory, Dr. Vasquez makes another critical discovery when examining Drakari communication devices. They've mastered quantum physics beyond our current understanding, she tells military advisors via encrypted channels. But their biological sensory systems are remarkably limited compared to ours. She projects spectral analysis charts showing the narrow band of electromagnetic radiation the aliens can perceive naturally. They've evolved under a red dwarf star. Their vision doesn't register the same color spectrum as ours. They rely almost entirely on technology to detect what we can see naturally. This insight leads to development of camouflage techniques, specifically designed to exploit Drakari sensory limitations. Resistance fighters begin using ultraviolet and infrared blocking paints that make them nearly invisible to alien scanning systems while remaining perfectly visible to human eyes. 3 weeks into the occupation, the invaders face a troubling reality. Their initial easy victories have given way to a constant stream of small defeats. Supply depots are raided with increasing frequency. Patrols disappear without warning. Communication relays suffer mysterious failures. Aboard the command ship, the Drakari High Commander receives increasingly concerning reports. The conquest that should have been completed in one standard cycle now stretches into an indeterminate campaign. Resources allocated for the next target world must now be diverted to maintain the Earth occupation. These humans, he chitlers to his war council, mandibles clicking in agitation. They don't fight like a unified species. They fight like millions of separate organisms with a shared purpose. How can we predict the actions of an enemy that has no central command to target? For the first time in the Drakari conquest history, the invasion timeline extends beyond projected parameters. The Supreme Strategist enters a concerning observation into the official record. This species demonstrates unprecedented adaptive capacity. Recommend elevation of threat assessment to Category Omega. Sophie Zimmerman's breakthrough with Drakari signal patterns transforms the resistance overnight. From her makeshift command center in the Alpine Ski Lodge, she coordinates with hackers worldwide through a cobbled-together network of old ham radios and salvaged satellite phones. Their commands follow mathematical sequences, she explains to resistance leaders during a rare global conference call. They're perfectly logical, which makes them perfectly predictable. Her voice, despite her youth, carries the confidence of expertise. Before the invasion, she was just another teenager obsessed with drone racing and coding. Now she leads a global counterintelligence operation from a resort town that the aliens deemed too remote to occupy. We can't decrypt their language yet, she continues, fingers flying across her keyboard. But we can identify pattern signatures for specific commands. When they order troop movements, the data packets have distinctive mathematical fingerprints. In Jakarta, resistance fighters apply Sophie's insights with devastating effect. By monitoring Drakari communications and identifying the pattern signatures, for patrol scheduling they set up ambushes with perfect timing. 3 alien convoys disappear in a single night, their advanced weaponry now in human hands. Meanwhile, Professor Adebayo's electromagnetic pulse technology spreads through Nigeria's resistance network into neighboring countries. What began as converted oil refinery equipment evolves into portable EMP devices that can be carried in backpacks and deployed against alien technology with increasing precision. Their systems have no hardening against electromagnetic pulses, Adebayo explains to fighters sheltering in Cameroon's dense forests. Their homeworld has minimal electromagnetic storm activity compared to Earth. They never needed to develop comprehensive shielding. The professor's team creates instructional videos showing how to build rudimentary EMP devices from salvaged microwave components and car batteries. The tutorials, copied onto thousands of flash drives, travel hand-to-hand across continents, reaching resistance cells from Mongolia to Peru. Deep beneath Moscow's subway system, Colonel Dmitry Volkov watches with interest as his engineers incorporate both Sophie's signal analysis and Adebayo's EMP technology into Russia's surviving military infrastructure. The aliens expect us to fight as nations, he tells his multinational team of soldiers and civilians. But we fight as one species now. Swedish hackers, Nigerian engineers, American Marines, humanity has never been so united. This unprecedented cooperation yields results the Drakari cannot anticipate. When they adapt their patrol schedules to avoid ambushes in Asia, resistance fighters in Europe watch and learn, developing new tactical approaches that spread worldwide before the aliens recognize the pattern. The Drakari War Council convenes an emergency session as occupation casualties reach unprecedented levels. The Supreme Commander's carapace shows stress fractures, a physical manifestation of mounting pressure. This resistance doesn't follow historical patterns, the intelligence director reports, displaying holographic maps of increasingly coordinated human attacks. They're learning collectively while fighting independently. Each cell operates autonomously but shares knowledge instantly. A junior science officer hesitantly raises a limb to speak. Supreme Commander, I've been studying their pre-invasion communication networks. These humans had developed global information sharing systems that allowed instant transmission of ideas across planetary distances. They've adapted these systems to function despite our network suppressors. The Supreme Commander's compound eyes narrow as the implications become clear. You're saying they've weaponized their cultural diversity against us? Precisely, the science officer confirms. Where previous conquered species unified and centralized when threatened, becoming more predictable, humans fragment and diversify, becoming less predictable while maintaining collective intelligence. It's a defensive adaptation we've never encountered. For the first time, uncertainty enters the Drakari strategic assessment. They've conquered worlds with superior technology, but never a species that turns its own apparent weaknesses into strengths. The liberation of Mumbai becomes a turning point in the resistance. As Drakari forces retreat in disarray, cell phone footage captures their confusion. Alien soldiers stumbling into each other, command vehicles crashing into buildings, coordinated attack formations dissolving into chaos. For the first time, humanity witnesses the invaders' perfect cohesion shattered. Dr. Patel emerges from his flooded laboratory to a hero's welcome. The crowds lining Mumbai's rain-soaked streets cheer as he inspects his quantum interference device, now being replicated by engineers across the city. The beauty of this technology, he explains to international observers, is its simplicity. The Drakari never protected their quantum network because they believed the science was beyond our comprehension. They didn't secure what they thought. We couldn't understand. Within 72 hours, resistance cells worldwide receive blueprints for Patel's device. Manufacturing begins immediately in hidden facilities from Detroit to Shenzhen. Each region adapts the design based on available materials. South American resistance uses components from telecommunications infrastructure, while European cells repurpose scientific equipment from university labs. In the temporary command center established in Mumbai's reclaimed financial district, Dr. Patel meets with military strategists to plan the next phase. We can't maintain the quantum interference indefinitely, he cautions, pointing to energy consumption readings. Their systems will eventually adapt. We need to use this window strategically. Major Imani Washington, former U.S. Special Forces now coordinating international resistance operations, studies the global situation map. We hit them simultaneously, she decides. Every major command center, every communication hub, make them Think our disruption capability is permanent and unlimited. The plan takes shape. Operation Radiant Blackout, a synchronized global activation of quantum interference devices targeting Drakari command structures across all occupied territories. Meanwhile, in orbit, the Drakari Fleet Lord summons his senior communication specialist to explain the unprecedented failure. Impossible, insists the chief engineer, mandibles clicking nervously. Their technological development is centuries behind quantum entanglement mastery. They cannot comprehend the principles, let alone interfere with them. Yet they have. The Fleet Lord responds, displaying holographic images of Mumbai's liberation. Their comprehension exceeds our assessment. Adjust parameters accordingly. The implications send ripples of concern through the command hierarchy. The Drakari invasion protocol relies on perfect coordination, simultaneous precise strikes across vast distances that no conventional communication system could manage. Without their quantum network, their overwhelming technological advantage diminishes significantly. Back in Mumbai, Dr. Patel works through the night with an international team of physicists to improve the interference pattern. A breakthrough comes from an unexpected source, Dr. Yuki Tanaka, an expert in quantum computing who had been developing error correction algorithms before the invasion. The Drakari system isn't just communicating, she explains, excitement building in her voice. It's constantly error-checking and self-correcting. That's why our interference works temporarily, but they eventually recover. She sketches a modification to Patel's device that targets this self-correction mechanism specifically. Instead of creating random noise, we create precisely structured interference that tricks their system into magnifying errors rather than correcting them. The theoretical improvement promises to extend the disruption effect from hours to days, enough time for humanity to launch coordinated counteroffensives across multiple fronts. As dawn breaks over Mumbai, resistance leaders receive the first reports of successful quantum device deployments in Singapore, Cairo, and Buenos Aires. In each location, Drakari forces fall into the same confusion that liberated Mumbai. For the first time since the invasion began, humanity holds the initiative. The Fleet Lord's final transmission before quantum communications fail completely contains just 3 words: tactical reassessment required. The Thunderstrike counteroffensive enters its second phase as dawn breaks over the Amazon basin. General Rodriguez watches through night vision binoculars as her forces emerge from concealed positions, wielding weapons that blend Earth and Drakari technology. Rifles retrofitted with alien power cells, machetes edged with salvaged spacecraft hull material. Each fighter carries equipment uniquely adapted to their environment and fighting style. Remember, they expect us to attack like them, in formation with standard tactics, Rodriguez reminds her lieutenants. We attack like us, unpredictable, adaptive, human. 500 kilometers above, Colonel Wei Lin's boarding party secures the final compartment of the captured Drakari scout vessel. The ship's smooth, organic interior bears scorch marks from the brief but intense fighting. 3 human astronauts lie wounded, being treated by the mission medic, while 6 alien bodies float in zero gravity, their movements stilled forever. Artificial gravity control located, reports Lieutenant Kenji Tanaka, his spacesuit bearing the flags of both Japan and the unified Earth resistance. Activating now. The floating bodies settle gently to the deck as gravity returns. Lin moves methodically to the command center where engineers already work to decipher the alien navigation systems. Can we fly this thing? She asks Dr. Hassan, Mehdi, the mission's xenotechnology specialist. Better than they could, he replies with unexpected confidence. Their muscle density evolved for 1.8 times Earth gravity. In space, they're overcompensating constantly. We're naturally more suited to zero-G operations. He demonstrates by executing a perfect microgravity maneuver that would have strained Drakari physiology. Lin opens a secure channel to Earth Command. Stargazer secured. Repeat, Stargazer secured. We have control of the vessel and are accessing navigation and weapon systems. Across the planet's surface, resistance fighters receive the news with renewed determination. The impossible has happened. Humans have captured interstellar technology intact. In Australia's Red Centre, Aboriginal guide Marley Cooper leads a resistance cell through territories the Drukhari scanners register as uninhabitable. Her knowledge of hidden water sources and pathways invisible to technological observation allows human fighters to appear seemingly from nowhere, striking alien outposts before vanishing back into landscapes the invaders cannot read. They see the land as resource to be consumed, she explains while showing fighters how to move without disturbing dust patterns that alien sensors might detect. They don't understand that the land itself can fight back through those who listen to it. Similar advantages emerge in environments across Earth. In Arctic regions, Inuit hunters teach resistance fighters how to approach Drukhari patrols downwind, using snow patterns and ice formations for concealment. The aliens' thermal imaging systems, calibrated for their own body temperature ranges, struggle to distinguish humans using traditional cold weather survival techniques from the surrounding environment. On the Drukhari command ship, the Supreme Strategy Director receives increasingly concerning reports. The humans are employing attack methodologies unique to each bioregion, he informs the High Command. Our standard counterinsurgency protocols prove ineffective when each region requires different tactical responses. More alarming is the confirmation that humans have captured a scout vessel intact. Unknown how they overcame the security systems, the director continues, mandibles clicking in agitation. Recommend immediate self-destruct signal transmission to prevent technology transfer. But the recommendation comes too late. Dr. Mehdi's first act aboard the captured vessel was to isolate its communication systems, preventing exactly such a contingency. Already, human engineers are reverse engineering the ship's propulsion, navigation, and weapon systems. The Drukhari invasion timeline, once measured in days, now extends indefinitely as human resistance consolidates these unprecedented gains. For the first time, the High Command considers a word previously absent from their conquest lexicon: retreat. Dr. Vasquez's discovery about the alien bioweapons spreads through secure channels to medical facilities worldwide. In laboratories hidden beneath evacuated hospitals and repurposed subway tunnels, scientists confirm her findings with growing excitement. The green mist that descended from Drukhari ships as humanity's execution sentence now represents their greatest miscalculation. In a converted wine cellar beneath Paris, microbiologist Dr. Pierre Laurent studies cultures where Earth bacteria interact with the alien pathogens. What he observes astonishes his team. The Drukhari bioweapons are perfectly engineered, he explains, pointing to microscope displays, but only for a static target. They never considered that Earth's microbiome is constantly evolving, constantly competing. Their weapons are being outcompeted in real time. Lawrence's team identifies specific bacterial strains that particularly overwhelm the alien bioagents. They begin cultivating these naturally occurring organisms in makeshift fermentation tanks. The same equipment once used to produce fine French wines now serves as humanity's biological countermeasure. In research facilities across 5 continents, similar work proceeds with remarkable coordination. Scientists who once competed for grants and publication priority now collaborate seamlessly, sharing breakthroughs hourly through encrypted channels. Malaysian resistance fighters report the first confirmed case of a Drukhari soldier displaying symptoms of illness, stumbling movements, respiratory distress, and degradation of their protective membranes. Within 48 hours, similar reports emerge from occupied territories worldwide. In her command bunker beneath Barcelona, Dr. Vasquez reviews the global data with measured optimism. Their biology is remarkably homogeneous, she tells military leaders via secure video link. They sacrificed diversity for efficiency during their evolution, which makes them vulnerable to exactly this kind of pandemic spread. More surprising is her team's discovery about Drukhari immune response. They don't have our adaptive immunity, she explains. Their immune systems are entirely innate, pre-programmed responses to anticipated threats. When they encounter something truly novel, they have no mechanism to develop new antibodies. The resistance quickly moves from defensive to offensive biological strategies. Captured Drukhari environmental samples reveal their ships maintain precisely controlled atmospheric conditions. Resistance cells begin introducing specifically cultured Earth microbes into alien ventilation systems. The results exceed all expectations. Entire command centers rendered inoperative without a single shot fired. The Drakari Biological Warfare Division, faced with unprecedented failure, reports directly to the Supreme Commander. The division, leader's exoskeleton shows visible signs of infection, proof that the biological tide has turned. The planet itself rejects us, he reports, voice modulator struggling as fluid fills his breathing chambers. Their microorganisms evolve faster than our systems can analyze them. They've weaponized their entire ecosystem against us. Emergency protocols activate throughout the invasion fleet. Quarantine barriers separate infected and uninfected zones. Soldiers receive experimental treatments that prove increasingly ineffective as Earth's microbes continue to evolve. For the first time, the invaders face an enemy they cannot see, predict, or counter. In her laboratory, Dr. Vasquez reviews genetic sequencing data from adapted microbes collected worldwide. The patterns reveal something profound about Earth's defense mechanisms. It's not just that our immune systems are adaptable, she explains to her colleagues. It's that our entire planetary ecosystem functions as a collective immune response. The invaders see themselves fighting humans, but they're actually fighting Earth itself. Billions of years of competitive evolution deployed against them. The Drakari, who conquered sterile mineral worlds and predictable biological systems, find themselves overwhelmed by a living planet whose complexity they fundamentally underestimated. Their bioweapons don't just fail, they become the vector for their own undoing. The human fleet approaches the Drakari armada with apparent recklessness that confounds alien tacticians. Commander Alzara's voice remains steady as she directs her pilots through maneuvers that push the limits of human physiology. Starburst. Formation, she orders as the fleet nears the outer defensive perimeter. Maximum scatter on my mark. Her flagship, the Resilience, leads the charge, a converted commercial spacecraft now bristling with weaponry, reversed engineered from the captured scout ship. Its hull bears the scars of hasty modification, yet moves with unexpected grace through the vacuum. The Drakari response follows textbook space combat doctrine. Their capital ships arrange in perfect geometric formations, energy weapons charging in synchronized sequences designed to create an inescapable field of fire. Their tactical displays predict total human fleet destruction within minutes. Now! Alzara commands. The human fleet explodes outward in seemingly chaotic patterns. Ships accelerate and decelerate at random intervals. Some shut down all systems momentarily, appearing as debris. Others activate their engines at full burn, creating exhaust plumes that blind alien sensors. Aboard the Drakari command ship, the battle director struggles to track the erratic human movements. Their attack pattern is irrational, he reports to the fleet lord. No species conducts space warfare with such disregard for formation integrity. The fleet lord's compound eyes narrow as understanding dawns. They're not fighting like a spacefaring civilization, he realizes. They're fighting like atmospheric pilots. This insight comes too late. Human ships execute what the Drakari consider suicidal maneuvers. Barrel rolls, split S-turns, and hammerhead stalls adapted for vacuum. The alien targeting systems, designed to predict logical space combat trajectories, cannot anticipate moves borrowed from Earth's dogfighting history. Lieutenant Maya Patel pilots her interceptor directly toward a Drakari destroyer, weapons silent, appearing on enemy screens as a kamikaze run. The alien vessel fires a full spread of energy beams, which Patel evades with a maneuver no space combat algorithm would consider, deliberately entering a controlled flat spin while ejecting material from her cargo bay. The debris creates a momentary sensor shadow, allowing a squadron of smaller fighters to approach undetected. By the time the Drakari realize the deception, 5 human vessels have attached to their hull, cutting teams already breaching the outer armor. Similar scenarios unfold across the battle space. Human tactics embrace chaos and misdirection, concepts alien to the mathematical precision of Drakari warfare. The invaders, who evolved their combat doctrine through encounters with similarly logical adversaries, have no protocol for an enemy that deliberately creates confusion as strategy. Commander Alzara's voice remains calm as she directs the final assault on the flagship. All ships execute Pattern Icarus. Her officers exchange knowing glances at the code name. In human mythology, Icarus flew too close to the sun. The fleet accelerates directly toward the alien command ship, appearing to commit to suicide runs. The Drukhari respond predictably, concentrating defensive fire on the approaching vessels. None of their sensors detect Alzara's actual strike team approaching from beneath, using Earth's magnetic field to mask their heat signatures. 20. Specialized boarding craft, piloted by veterans of Earth's special forces, attached to the flagship's underside at precisely calculated weak points. Inside the alien vessel, Drukhari crew members register the breach too late. Human boarding teams, moving with the speed and agility afforded by their lighter, Earth-evolved physiology, secure critical systems before the defenders can organize resistance. The last transmission from the Drukhari flagship, broadcast across their fleet, contains only confused fragments as humans take control. Unknown tactic, physical combat advantage, impossible maneuvers. The Geneva conference room falls silent as Admiral Korvthal completes his formal surrender. His massive frame, once imposing, now appears diminished. The chitinous exoskeleton that evolved for conquest now bears the marks of defeat, microfractures from biological exposure, scorch marks from human weaponry. There is a question I must ask, Korvthal says, translator device giving his alien speech a metallic quality. Why do you offer terms when annihilation is your right as victors? Dr. Elena Vasquez steps forward from the human delegation. For 14 months, she has studied the invaders, learning their biology, technology, and culture. She understands them better than any human alive. Because conquest for conquest's sake is your way, not ours, she responds simply. We fought to survive, not to destroy. The surrender terms scroll across display screens in both human languages and Drukhari script. The conditions are firm but measured. Complete withdrawal of all forces, substantial technology transfer as reparations, and recognition of Earth's solar system as sovereign territory with protected status. Most significant is the provision granting human access to the Drukhari stellar database, the accumulated knowledge of 900 conquered worlds, and the wider galactic community beyond. United Nations Secretary-General Sofia Mbeki signs for Diku, Earth, her signature representing a humanity more unified than at any point in its turbulent history. This document marks not just the end of a war, she announces, but the beginning of humanity's chapter in a larger story. 3 months later, the last Drukhari transport rises from Earth's atmosphere. Crowds gather in cities worldwide to witness the departure of the invaders who once seemed unstoppable. Children too young to remember pre-invasion life point skyward as alien engines glow against the sunset. The reconstruction begins immediately. Former enemies work together, rebuilding cities with a combination of Earth architecture and alien materials. Salvaged Drukhari technology accelerates the recovery. Medical advances heal radiation damage. Energy systems restore power to devastated regions. Agricultural innovations address food shortages. In her new laboratory at the International Xenoscience Institute, Dr. Vasquez leads the team analyzing the Drukhari historical archives. The data transfer, part of the surrender terms, represents the largest influx of knowledge in human history. Scientific, technological, and cultural information spanning thousands of years and hundreds of civilizations. Her hands tremble slightly as she presents the findings to the newly formed Earth Defense Council. Representatives from every continent listen intently as implications of her discovery become clear. In their 900-world history, she explains, displaying translated conquest records, no species has ever forced a Drukhari surrender. Not one. We are the first civilization they've encountered that successfully resisted conquest. Council members exchange glances as they absorb this information. Earth is now known throughout the galaxy as the unconquerable world. Humanity has unintentionally gained a fearsome reputation among spacefaring civilizations. 5 years later, humanity's first true interstellar vessel prepares for its maiden voyage. The ship, named Defiance, incorporates both Earth ingenuity and Drukhari technology, a symbol of how humans took their greatest challenge and transformed it into opportunity. At the launch ceremony, billions watch worldwide as Captain Miguel Sanchez, the same police officer who rammed his patrol car into the first alien commander in Times Square, leads the crew up the boarding ramp. The ship's mission: peaceful exploration rather than conquest. As final preparations complete, a transmission arrives from the edge of the solar system. Admiral Korv-Tal, now serving as liaison between Earth and the galactic community, sends a message displayed on screens throughout the launch facility. Yad, fought like no species we have encountered in 1,000 years of conquest. We sought to enslave you, instead you educated us. The galaxy awaits humanity with curiosity and just a touch of apprehension.